It's VHS. We've got a comment here from 8-Bit Sync Boy. I have no interest. Get this though, I have no interest in Blu-rays. I already have everything on DVD or in higher definition on my hard drive. I'm done giving the BBC another penny.
You're not alone. You're not alone.
I sympathise.
Of course.
But all I would say is you are, unfortunately, you are cutting off your nose to spite your face because the Blu-rays are fantastic. You just do yourself a favour. I know it's the BBC. We all hate the BBC. But really, you'll love them.
Don't hate the BBC. I just want the BBC to wake up.
I do.
The difference is, the difference is with these, the way that they're getting people to double dip or triple dip is in making sure that the packaging is bespoke. It's something that's just that little bit more special, and for whatever reason that you may want to. Now, just like our friend there in the chat, I've done I did all the VHS tapes and all the DVDs. I've got some stats here. The saga, you could say, the story of Doctor Who on home media. Have I got this? Yeah, we've got. This is the very first release. It started. The whole reign started in October of 1983.
So well, I can still remember that in was it 1984 that came out. I remember going to WH Smith's and seeing that 83. On the shelf, and 83 was it? Late 83. Yeah. And I just remember immediately thinking, hold on, that's not the right Cyberman, that's not the right logo. A typical Doctor Who geek just immediately leapt on the fact that it was all the wrong images.
Do you know what got me more about it, Simon? It was the price.
25 quid?
I had to save up for bloody weeks to get that.
Well, in fact, actually, I think the first one, wasn't that one 40 quid? The first version was
45 pounds. It was very expensive.
That one was 40 quid. The re-release was 25.
Well, then, of course, it was only because a lot of the VHS took off because they weren't doing just Doctor Who Space Bookers. They were doing classics like Dad's Army and I Being Served. But it was because we bought into it that they were eventually able to come down to a budget range of $9.99 from our price and Woolies and all this sort of stuff. And Revenge of the Cybermen again was one of the first to come out on the budget range.
Woolies,
as always, JT, Doctor Who as a brand and Doctor Who fans, Simon, as a target audience, as punters, we were proof really to see whether this was proof of concept. Really, knowing that if we took the bait, which of course we did,
there was a market. It
started. The BBC's video label actually did literally start with Doctor Who fans. How it rolled out was at the Longleat 1983, that famous Doctor Who event for the 20th anniversary. I know that you were there, Simon.
Yeah,
when people were there at the event, they were handing out little surveys, just photocopied surveys, where fans were told that they were going to be putting out one Doctor Who VHS tape and asking them which story they'd like to see on VHS. Now, in 1983...
I filled in the form.
There you go. In 1983, as I understand it, it was still a bit sketchy amongst the fan base. We still didn't know really what existed and what didn't. So legend has it that the story that got the most votes from the attendees at the Longleat 83 convention was actually The Tomb of the Cybermen, which the BBC hadn't told anybody that they'd only gone and junked it. So yes, those scamps at BBC Enterprises or whatever it was at the time said, okay, this has got Cybermen in. It's got a Doctor that's even more popular than Patrick Troughton. They'll be happy. It's also a 4-parter, and so they released Revenge of the Cybermen instead.
They don't care about Doctor Who.
They don't care about Doctor Who. That is basically the story. Yeah, that's what happened. I remember filling in that little form and popping it in the box.
That's right.
Guess which story I put on that I wanted to be released on VHS?
Robots of Death.
Yes, of course.
Was it really?
Yes, of course it was.
That followed in the budget range fairly shortly after, because I think Robots of Death was the second. I remember hearing the myths. That was the second one. That but they knew they were safe with Tom because it was still close to his era, and we were all coming. But it's amazing that the VHS range did set for BBC Enterprises now studios the bar, because what happened in 1999 was exactly the same pattern, except the first Doctor Who DVD pilot release was the 5 Doctors, and it was part of a batch of 5 different genres from the BBC to see, will DVD sell? And the Doctor Who 5 Doctors was the biggest selling DVD at that time out of the 5 range. And then that spawned on the whole range that we can get today.
Yeah.
I mean, the 90s was an explosive time, obviously, for home media generally. As soon as they got it down to an affordable level of originally it was $9.99, not just for BBC, but generally for sell-through videotapes in the UK. As soon as they hit that $9.99 price point, the floodgates opened up. Punters, the customers, were quite willing to pay that amount. It was seen as a reasonable amount of money, and labels, big and small labels, popped up everywhere, going into all sorts of genres, like you say. Lots of archive material, nothing that was too deep dive, but shows that people loved and hadn't seen at that point for a few years. Stuff like Rising Damp turned up on the Thames label. And you've got lots of BBC shows. Fawlty Towers sold amazingly well. So did Hancock. So did Dad's Army. All those things. But they did kind of cherry pick. There was no such thing as a complete set of anything then. I think Doctor Who got served the best, really, with this sustained pattern of releases.
We were very lucky.
Which did lead to this. I mean, this is the actual one of the inlays from the mid-90s. This was it was before the McGann stuff came in, so it still had that sense of family and of branding with the beautiful artwork there.
They did make mistakes. Let's face it. I mean, at the very beginning, they mashed episodes together, so a 4-parter became one big movie type thing, and they did edit them. The Brain of Mobius was edited to hell, and they did make mistakes, but that actually was something that they were very. When new teams came on board through the 20-year period that these videos were released, they actually re-released original ones. So we had to go back and buy them again. But as they moved on, they were anything from $7.99 to $9.99 upwards, depending on that. Was because I had 4 editions of Spearhead from Space, for example. 2 Robots of Death, 2 Death to the Daleks.
Yeah. So when I say double or triple dipping, Simon, for some of these releases, by the time they do make it onto Blu-ray, it's actually 5 or 6 dips for me.
Or more.
I certainly started buying all of these VHSs in the early days. I remember probably for the first 2 or 3 years buying everything, and like JT, I double dipped on. I remember having the Brain of Morbius and just being gutted that it was 55 minutes long. And so then had to buy it again when it came out later in the full version, all the rest of it. Yeah. But it was just very, very exciting. Well, on the one hand, it was an exciting time. But on the other hand, there was still kind of the feeling that I can still remember it being said at the time, hold on, we've already paid for all these programs to be made in our license fee. Why are we now having to buy them back again? I do remember even then people were feeling a little bit cheated that why had they got to pay for these again when they'd already bought them with their license fee. So this has been rumbling on for decades.
I think they managed to trade on the fact that people were so hungry for the material, and as the picture we've got on screen now, that's the tail end of the VHS era as it led into the DVD era. And you said you had a full set yourself, Ian, or you had quite a lot of them.
I did. I had a crap load, and JT knows more than me, and I can't believe they're not worth anything. I used to have a huge box set of Doctor Who, all of VHS.
Unfortunately, Ian, you didn't sell them at the right time. A few years ago, before they started releasing them on DVD, no, they must have started releasing them. But about 10 years ago, you could sell some of them. I remember Planet of the Spiders for a while was worth an enormous amount of money.
Wow.
Things like the Trial of a Time Lord, Tin.
So it's just individual ones then? It's just individual ones?
Certain specific titles were worth a heck of a lot of money, and you could have sold them for a decent amount of money, but probably 10, maybe even longer than that, 15 years ago, because some of the later ones, as I recall, were done on a lower.
It's because they were beginning releases. They were beginning to phase the VHS out to concentrate on the DVD range. The DVD range started in 1999 and then went from 2000 onwards to being 4 or 5 a year. It was only in 2003 that we actually got 7 in 1 year, 1 from each of the Doctors, and that did so well it justified the fact that the release schedule could go to monthly shortly after. The highest price one that came through from the VHS for a very short while was The Hand of Fear, because there was a story to that. They released The Hand of Fear on at the time they announced the Paul McGann movie. And as we know, that announcement meant that all merchandise was put on hiatus, waiting for a brand new pilot to what was supposed to be a backdoor series.
Doctor,
and everything stopped. So the Hand of Fear actually got cut, and they didn't distribute it as widely as they wanted to. So, you know, if you got the Hand of Fear at that point, you were very lucky. I was offered at one particular point an astronomical amount of money for a Hand of Fear from a collector who needed the Hand of Fear to finish his collection.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, that was one of the things. And then it came back with the TV movie special VHS, and then the Green Death rebooted it with the logo. Yeah,
I got
that was when they rebranded it. And
the Paul McGann movie and the Five Doctors. I used to have that, and it used to be my collection. But
I'm going to stop you for a moment, guys. I want to bring in. We've got a guest about to beam here from the traveling beaming in from the traveling TARDIS. Let's see if you can fill us in about what it was like over the other side of the pond in home media. Hiya, mate. How are you? Hiya, Christian. You okay? We're talking home media, Doctor Who on videotape and on DVD. Have you always been a collector of that stuff too, Christian? Have you got it lining behind your backdrop there? Is it full of spaceship?
I've had friends give me the VHS versions. They were like boxes of VHS. And I felt bad because I got rid of my VHS player and I gave those away to friends who still had VHS players. By the way, Simon, you need your money back. That's not blue. Somebody has stripped you off.
All right, you've noticed.
That was a highlight of my week, man.
I'm sorry. It's going to happen at some point. I promise.
Before I die.
It's a work in progress.
So I'm sorry I didn't catch the beginning part of the show because I was at a meeting earlier. But it was hard to get, and PBS was no fun because it wasn't like you could go to the local store and get the VHS, and if they got it, it was like astronomically too much. It was like the one episode. But I do have some ones like Doctor Who is Tom Baker, the one where he interviews himself. Those are the ones that I kept because those I think are very classic. I have the original Probe, which has all the doctors from John Pertwee doing all that stuff. I was trying so hard to look for. I like getting the odd ones out. The BBVs. I meant the ones those are the ones I'd like to see. I wanted to see The Stranger. Whatever I can find on YouTube.
Well. Have you ever seen The Stranger, Christian?
No, I just it's always...
Really.
I do remember that coming out. I mean, all I will say is it's a disappointment. That's about all I can say.
Don't tell me that.
Well, one of Ian's best friends at the time, the late Julian Booth, who died a couple of years ago. It was last year, wasn't it, Ian? He was in that. But all of the Stranger stuff is actually up to see on YouTube now, I believe. Completely.
Yes, it is. Yeah, it's all there. It's all there.
Well, there you go, Christian.
Yeah, everything's been uploaded on there.
That I got lucky to see, which I don't see it on YouTube, where it's all broken up, is the Airzone Solution, which that story was just baffling. Yeah. I guess seeing Nicola and Colin getting it on was a little bit.
Yeah, let's just explain. Some of the Spacebookers may not realize these were independent productions that were done in the wilderness years when the show wasn't on. So they were nothing to do with the BBC. They just happened to use actors that had been in Doctor Who,
and
not just the Doctor. Nothing to do with it.
Doctor Who.
Yeah. They were all in new characters.
I'd love to do a whole show about those at some point because it's quite a rabbit hole to go down. But you may change your mind when you hear who I've been talking to.
Oh, really?
I think they were mostly Keith Barnfather, as I recall. I think they were mostly Keith Barnfather. I remember Wartime. Wartime was quite a big thing, and I think that's probably one of the best. If you haven't seen that one, Christian, I would highly recommend Wartime. That felt like the most rounded somehow of all.
Wait, I agree with that one actually. Yeah, because I remember being very disappointed with Downtime because it had Liz and it had Debs. And it had Nick and it had the Yeti in, and I was really hyped. And
It's got Liz Sladen in as well, hasn't it?
Liz, Debbie, Nick, and the Yeti. And I was really quite excited about it because I thought, it's a great writer as well. And for some reason, it just didn't transfer onto. I don't know, something just didn't happen, and I remember
somehow.
But I tell you what, Ian, if you were looking for VHS from our sort of stuff now, do have a look around the charity shops because even the charity shops cannot sell videos these days. So if anyone's looking to go and check when they reopen, go back to the charity shops and the fairs and have a look around those because you may find some bargains there.
Yeah, I've still got my VHS player. It's still here. So,
Have you? Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
Do you
Right.
get nostalgic for video, for VHS, the way we do, Christian? We've been talking about it today. And we've talked about it before as well.
Sometimes I think there's still some kind of charm to it for me. And it's just like when you see the old VHS tapes and Be Kind Rewind days. It's
yeah.
Oh yeah! Wow! Yeah.
Oh wait, gentlemen, hang on one second. You're gonna love this.
Mhm.
Hold on. I can't
I used
believe
to work for Blockbuster.
Oh, did you?
really?
There's
Yeah.
a name.
can't believe I have it sitting right here,
Wow.
and I was talking about it, and I was actually going to talk about it till Sylvester when we interviewed him, but here it is.
Oh no!
Let's-
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
The Zero
Oh.
Imperative, the Probe series.
Yeah,
Who directed that? Who
Mark
directed it?
Was that Mark Gatiss?
I
that
think
one
so.
himself, or Nick Briggs?
I think this,
Oh, was it Nick
no, it's
Briggs?
Nick Briggs, and he kind of
Briggs,
denies
yeah.
it. He kind of like, no, written by Mark Gatiss, produced and directed by Bill Baggs. Okay,
Oh right, okay.
but
But that was Caroline John as well, wasn't it? She was quite pleased with. I remember she was quite pleased with those shows and having had a chance to flesh Liz Shaw, because that's going to be very confusing for Facebookers who weren't around at the time. That was Liz Shaw played by Caroline John. They'd actually taken a character from Doctor Who in there because the license didn't belong necessarily. I don't know what the full story was, but that's another thing there, really.
they couldn't get the
Bizarre.
licensing. But I think the most interesting part is Liz smoking up a bowl. It's just like pulling out a pipe, and all of a sudden she's lighting up a pipe. I'm like, I don't remember doing that in the series, and if this is supposed to be the Liz Shaw in the series, I'm just like, okay. But I just thought it was cool to see Louise Jameson and Caroline
I like all that
working
stuff.
together.
No, it's interesting because it's very much of its time, of its day, but that's where an awful lot of people that are now working in television who are Doctor Who fans did cut their teeth and did make the mistakes. And boy, did they make some mistakes. But, at least it was all done on those sort of independent productions, and they've all gone on to some nice projects and careers now. So it's very much like some of it was the visual equivalent of some of the New Adventures authors.
Mhm.
Some of whom we don't talk to now,
they-
but they went on.
You've got me all nostalgic talking about this. I've just been and found my original copy
Oh,
of
fabulous. Yeah.
Yes.
And there's
that
me
was-
thinking that you went to the loo.
Hey, Sarah.
That was no. I went to
Go on,
DA.
let's have a look.
Where I put them, and so this was the re-release. This was 25 quid. I remember this was 25 quid, and this was my birthday in 1984. So how old was I? Don't know, but that was very exciting. And then the only other one I've got left was Pyramids of Mars. That was just a thrill to get Pyramids of Mars, because that's
the original edited version as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. This is the 90-minute version that was done into the compilation form, and not only is it stuck together into one
episode,
show, it's also edited. There's other little cuts through it to just get it down to 90 minutes.
Yeah.
So, but those are the only two that I managed to keep hold
A
of.
lot of dust on that one, mate. On the one on the right.
Darren
Yes,
Bradley said-
I'm afraid to get a lot of dust.
That's
Look at that.
Oh, mine are the same. Have you got some of those cases as well that have got like a clamp on the top edge like that, where they would have fastened
Yes.
into one?
I remember them,
and the dust. You cannot get the
again.
dust. You cannot get the dust out of those.
Well,
Yeah.
no, it's better than that. It's just the clip.
Oh, so what's Christian
But
got?
there you go.
No, it's,
Yeah, it is.
oh, and what was it? Doctor Who is Tom Baker. I love the opening scene, and I'm paraphrasing because it's been a while, but I love the scene where he is walking around. He's picking up a newspaper, looking at the obituaries, and he goes, "Damn it, I'm still alive." It's just like those kind of quirks that Tom.
Oh,
Baker
that's the
always-
independent one you're talking about there, right?
Yeah, he
Yeah,
interviews himself, and I'm
Yes,
just like,
I remember that.
is-
Yeah.
It's this one. I've got this too. Yeah, it's. Oh
remember
god, that's a whole other rabbit hole. It really, because that's an entire range of bespoke stuff. But yeah, I mean, over in the States though, didn't all the Doctor Who, the official stuff came out on the Warner Brothers label? Didn't they? Had an arrangement with Warner Brothers.
It's been so long. I would say yes. I think there was
Yes,
they were the distribution company, but they were still just, for me, it was hard to find. I mean, it wasn't something that was laying out today. DVD players all over. Now they've got series 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then the ones that are really just kind of cringy at. I'm sorry, but when they go like, "Oh, here the episode's just the Daleks. Here's the episode's just the Cybermen. Here's the episodes," I'm like, I already got all the episodes. Why do I need just separate DVDs of the monsters?
Yeah.
So I waited until those ended up at the dollar store, and then I got them. But
It's so cool, the VHSs. It's like it's just the idea of having a tape and you just shoving it in there and you hear it go zzz around and then you press play and there's fond memories.
And it crunches.
It was a very satisfying feeling to feel, particularly the top loading video. To slide it into the drawer, to push the lid down, push it down tight, and then you'd if you've got one of the piano keys ones, you'd hear every single cog engage and watch the tape start to move. Last week I talked a little bit about that hand labeled 5 Doctors that I got of my off-air copy, and I said I've got the tape upstairs, and it's so heavy. It really does feel really, really thick and heavy and hard duty and lasting. It's probably why it still plays nearly 40 years later. But we were looking at the VHS range earlier on, and as those progressed, the latter wave of tapes, you could feel they started to make not just the cases were made out of thinner plastic, and sometimes they would crack or break. I never had one break completely at the corners, but I know people.
When I was
apparently the tape itself though was also a lot thinner.
It was,
so it would get chewed up, Ian. They just scrimp here and there.
When I was at school, we had a Doctor Who club. Right, this is a long time ago, and the technician's name was Mr. Gregory, and he used to have a little office. And at lunchtime, we used to go in there, but he used to record the episodes on the BBC on spools. You remember the spools?
Oh, really?
Yeah. He used to put the spools in. Right, guys, you ready?
Oh, God, I remember that.
The little crackle at the bottom, and then it would start. Yeah. Spools. Jesus Christ.
We're going back
and
in time.
Tracking, you used to have to play with the tracking. And,
See, I don't miss any of that. I like the fact that it's a clear position.
Are you sure? Do you want to take you back to the old days now?
No, not really.
Oh God!
There we go. Look at
that. Yes.
Imagine. So watch the crackle.
What the hell does that all mean?
I don't know.
Well, that was the registration number, Christian, for the distributor for the retailers. Okay. Like a book has an ISBN. That was part of their video version of that.
Yeah. Like I cared. I would fast forward.
Just imagine.
FBI
Christian.
Warning. Whatever.
FBI, we're British. Get off.
Christian, imagine that you've just got back from the shops. You've got your little plastic bag or whatever. You've saved up your pocket money for one of these tapes
from Woolworths.
You've finally got this plastic bit of joy, and you slide it into the machine, push down the lid, and press play, and this begins. This is one from the 90s.
Oh, look, there it is in the bottom of the picture. Do you see that? Look at that.
Yeah. Height of the popularity of the range.
No
longer on the copyrights. They can't come and get me.
Oh God, those graphics are amazing.
So this is from 1993 because that's
right.
The anniversary, isn't it?
Yeah. So this actually commissioned. That cost them a small fortune.
This is from, I've forgotten now, but this is from a very specific release. I've just forgotten the title. But yes, there we are. That's blasted you back to 1994. You're quite right. Some of the it's a 1994 release, so they must have carried on. They must have carried on using it for a little while. Yes, I've got.
I love the little dropouts on the tape. You get the dropouts.
Dan made that sound so sexy.
Hey, Sarah.
It's been said before, Dan likes his VHS players, how he likes his women. Yes, top loaded, Darren.
Oh, dearie me.
The strange part about this is you mentioned nostalgic, but I've been watching gamers and the big name gamers like Markiplier and Jacksepticeye and all those guys. They're playing games that are based on like DVD reenactment. VHS reenactment. So like when you're playing the game, it looks like you're watching an 80s film.
Wow. Really?
They're playing it with all the breakups and stuff. I don't remember the names of the games that they were playing, but whoever made the games made it intentionally, so it looks like you're watching a VHS tape, but you're interacting. So you're like in an 80s movie. One of them was like a Chainsaw Massacre or something like that. Literally, that's all it is. You go into a building and you're trying to get some stuff and then leave the building without getting killed, but you're being chased around.
Guys, I used to be a graphics artist, and I had to literally take out all the dropout because they wanted to rescreen. They wanted to rescreen a Red Dwarf, an episode of Red Dwarf. I can't remember which episode. And I was the stupid idiot that had to put it into the Harriet and clean up every dropout on the tape so they could broadcast it. It took me freaking ages.
I'm sure it did. Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
I agree with Sadako there. Absolutely. The DVD and internet has taken a lot of the fun away and the anticipation of the magic. It has, undoubtedly. It's too when you've got everything literally on tap, there's nothing more exciting than a new release coming out that you had that you'd never seen before, and now everything's available. So but hey, different times.
Oh, sorry.
They are.
You mentioned Red Dwarf, and here's something that's funny. Speaking of VHS tapes, back, I think it was in the 90s. The three major networks at that time, CBS, NBC, ABC, they actually did their own 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. Each one of them at the same time. One of them had Michael Caine. One of them had Ben Cross as Nemo. I mean, it was just whacked out. And a friend of mine loaned me the tape where Michael Caine was playing Nemo, and it was just a weird episode because. The whole thing was revolving around prosthetics or something like that. He invented prosthetics in his version. Anyway, I watched the whole movie. After the movie ran out, there was this scene I caught. It was the most hysterical scene I had ever seen in like a sci-fi comedy. I had no idea what the show was because it was taped over by the movie.
Right, when you get a bit at the end when the tape goes and another show's underneath.
Exactly. And the scene was the dog's milk scene.
Oh, in Red Dwarf.
Yeah, I didn't know what it was at the time because he had recorded over it. Not only that, but it was all chopped up. So it went from them doing the dog milk scene to them going onto the ship to them discovering, spoilers for whoever know Red Dwarf, to seeing the girls over there. But I didn't, for the life of me, for years, I did not know what it was. And I even asked him, I said, what is this show? And he didn't even remember. And I found out years later, it was Red Dwarf.
Red Dwarf, yeah. I used to remember that because my dad knew a friend named Ray, and he used to come every Saturday. He used to have like loads of pirates in a suitcase, pirate tapes. I remember watching, you'd get a film, you watch it, and then we learned that if you speed past the credits, there's usually something underneath that film.
Right.
9 times out of 10, it was porn.
I've heard people say that. Yeah. I've heard people say that who work in the TV industry. That they would buy in sort of tapes that had been used before, and 9 times out of 10 they had been used in the adult entertainment industry. Indeed, there's been so much nostalgia, so much talk about the good old days here on the panel and in the chat today. But, progress isn't all bad. It's not all bad, everybody. And although entertainment itself has gone a lot more portable, how we can incorporate this stuff into our homes now, you could say it's evolved with it, and we can dream slightly bigger. I wonder if you've seen this picture before. This is a picture from the inside of somebody's house. This is from a picture from 2016. I've got the date on this article. Now, I'd love to have a police box in my home, guys. I know you've got K9, haven't you, JT? So that's near enough. That's near enough. But I'd kind of like one of these, as if the TARDIS is materialized in your own home. But can you guess what's behind that door, everybody?
The bathroom,
toilet. I don't know.
Fridge.
I'll show you. It is actually
Billy Piper.
Now there. I'd never leave. I would never. Yes, we have. It is actually inside. You'll see this. It is a dream theatre.
I remember that.
Excellent.
I want that.
That's
Which
gorgeous.
sci-fi fan wouldn't fall in love with this theatre? Step through Doctor Who's TARDIS entryway and into a new world, utilising eye-popping, custom-screamed acoustic panels. Theatre visitors feel like they're in a futuristic vessel flying through outer space. And there's a few pictures here up on screen. This is what it looks like.
They need the brown thing.
Lazy boys.
They need
the brown things and the TARDIS console somewhere in the middle going on.
Do you know, this is very, very odd because the new designs from a couple of years onward in cinemas in the United Kingdom are very similar to this, with the armchairs in there. Isn't that amazing?
They are. Yeah, Leicester Square's got them. Leicester Square. You know,
Leicester-
the big cinema in Leicester Square.
Leicester Square.
Leicester Square. Oh, the Odeon.
We've got several. We've got several that have creeped up. Obviously, last year hit them because they, as soon as they opened, they had to close again. But they had armchairs in them, and I'm just thinking, this is like coming out and being at home mixed, and people. So that's really if that was 2016 or whatever, that's ahead of its time.
They have trays, they have people serving you your drinks and stuff. So if you want a beer, they will literally come and serve you your beer. And so I mean, it costs more money to go and see a film in those cinemas. But yeah, that's what they were starting up until the pandemic happened.
I want that in my house. I want to replace my entire house with that. I could just live in
your house. Yeah, don't need anything else. No kitchen, no nothing.
I don't need a kitchen.
Apart from the pictures of Star Trek, it's really nice, isn't it?
Yeah.
Star what?
I mean, it's lovely. It's lovely. Whoever built that, it's amazing.
Gorgeous, isn't it?
Really nice. Yeah.
That must have taken not just a lot of money, but a lot of time and energy, and what a commitment. Wonderful.
I just love how it's on different layers as well. There, JT, you got that just like lip up to the screen.
It reminds me of a set.
And
it works well.
The ceiling in that is amazing with all the pinpricks of light, the starscape. That's how have they done the ceiling? That's
beautifully.
Brilliant.
It looks like the TARDIS has materialized halfway through a wall, doesn't it?
Yeah,
the TARDIS. But,
but that's okay. We can
with that. Can you imagine the sound in that room as well? The sound must be, especially on the the 4K stuff, must be gorgeous.
Yeah,
I need to win the lottery. Clearly,
okay. The ceilings, the ceilings are tiles. Believe it or not, they're tiles.
Really?
Oh, of course. Yeah, you can get them for theatre. Do you remember we used to get the backcloths with the lights built in the backcloths?
Yeah,
and then they changed it about 10 years ago, and you could get tiles. I remember them, and they had the lights built into the tile. Yeah, because it was apparently it was cheaper to stick them onto temporary sets. I do remember that. Yeah. I need to put them all on the seat. That's excellent.
And it
right,
says
I need some of those. Definitely need to get those.
Hey, they'll be cheaper now as well.
The article says that there's acoustic paneling there as well too.
And tell me if I'm wrong about this, but it was like 2017, 2016, 2017. Our theaters discovered cup holders. I'm like, what the hell took you so long?
Yeah, exactly.
We had to put the stuff somewhere. I'm like, sitting on the floor.
Yeah, I'd love one of them. I'll have to improvise a cup holder. But yes, so whilst we have moved on, what of VHS itself, everybody? Yes, you can pick these things up. JT, you mentioned this. You can pick them up for pennies sometimes if you go to the right charity shops. A lot of charity shops in the UK have actually stopped accepting them, stopped selling them altogether. But you do occasionally, you get lucky, or you meet somebody who is like selling or looking to offload an entire collection. But some Doctor Who VHS tapes have found further use in the upcycling world, everybody. Have you seen this over on Etsy? This is quite a common thing.
Wow.
For $9.99, you can buy the Pertwee Years, the BBC tape of the Pertwee Years, in this case, turned into a light, a unique upcycled retro gift. They say it's a mood night light there, Ian. When you're reading or a little hot drink in bed before you go to sleep, mate.
He's staring at me.
It's awesome. Come on, guys, this is awesome.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah, I mean it's very creative, but
vandalism.
No, it's not that. It's just it's not on its own, is it, Dan?
Yeah, but still, though, I mean, it's a nice little thing. It's only $9.99 for God's sake.
It's not because there's 26 years worth of them that they're going to do. He's doing one for every video you can get.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, and I just thought, there we go again.
You just choose your favourite one. I'm tempted. I might turn my Revenge of the Cybermen. I just might get the tape out.
I do like that the fact that he's made the lights different colours in each of them. I saw a purple one this morning, which I thought and it's very creative. I don't know if it'd be very good for your eyes, Facebookers. So if you've got one, do let us know.
Well, I'm really tempted. Should I take this apart and start and put bulbs in it?
There you go. Well, when we make fun, we're making fun of the VHS stand and making going away. Somehow or another, last few years, vinyl made a comeback and the record players. I'm like, how does that happen?
Yeah. And I reckon
why not VHS?
That happened. That happened with the vinyl because Madonna insisted on an album. It changed the whole industry.
Right.
Well, but maybe it might come back. Who knows?
I have noticed that there is a company in the States, full enough, Christian, who have because obviously all the plants that used to make VHS players, VCRs, they've all closed down. Nobody makes them anymore, not even in Japan. Yeah. But there's a small company in America that have actually started making brand new VHS players, and apparently they're very robust, very well made. Because towards the end of the VHS era, they got very unreliable, didn't they? And they lasted a lot less. Yeah, I've got two in the house that are still in working order. But
mine's still working.
You've still got one there too. Yeah, so I don't play one.
But unfortunately, I've got one of the later ones, and you're right, Dan. In the later years, you could buy them for like 20 quid from the supermarket, and they're just rubbish. They're like cardboard boxes.
Too heavy.
The old the Ferguson Video Star that I had back in the early 80s. I had a
Betamax C7 and then a C5.
Better quality, much better quality than VHS.
It's amazing because it all comes round again because you can now buy Blu-ray players for £20 in Tesco and Asda, can't you? You know, it's amazing. It's the same pattern all the way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and again, they're cheap rubbish Blu-ray players that don't play. They're not very good.
all these things, they all work their way back around, and what was old becomes new, and retro becomes now, and now becomes whatever. The story of Doctor Who on home entertainment, I know we're going to come back to it at some point. We feel like this is just a very sort of surface level look at it. But we've got to unbox there with Ian his wonderful new steelbook, which he'll cherish for the rest of his natural life there. And we'll keep an eye on whether somebody's able to prize that set out of JT's hands. It's at 250 quid at the moment.
When I get the John Pertwee one, I'm going to open it for this show. When I get
the
John Pertwee one,
good man.